newly named Cultural Arts Commission of Redondo Beach, 11/20/24 at 7:04. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Gary, may I have roll call? Or Elizabeth, sorry.
Go ahead, I can take care of it. We'll start with Vice Chair Christian Kelly,
Here.
Commissioner Gold,
Here.
Commissioner Lawrence, Commissioner Melendez,
Here.
Commissioner O'Brien Herrera,
Here.
Commissioner Patel,
Here.
and Commissioner Tanner is absent.
Okay. Commissioners, let's all salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the order of agenda as is?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Melendez and Gold, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Blue folder items. Are there any blue folder items for tonight's meeting?
Yes, there was one blue folder item,
Is
and
there,
it will be discussed during item H1, the
A1.
election of officers.
J1, okay, gotcha. So I don't have to do the motion to receive and file and all that kind of stuff?
Yes, you do.
I still do, okay, you got it, just making sure. Is there a motion to receive and file the blue folder items? Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to receive the blue folder items.
Second?
And I'll second.
Okay, that's Melendez and Herrera. Thank you
O'Brien
so
Herrera.
much. Any opposed? All in favor? Sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Who seconded that?
That was Melendez.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Herrera. Any opposed? No? Motion carries. Okay, consent calendar. Business items, except those formally noticed for public hearing or discussion, are assigned to the consent calendar. The commissioner members may request that any consent calendar items be removed, discussed, and acted upon separately. Items removed from the consent calendar will be taken up under the excluded consent calendar section below. Those items remaining on the consent calendar will be approved in one motion following oral communications. Are there any members of the commission or public that wish to pull an item for further discussion? If not, then we're going to approve the calendar items in one motion. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to speak?
On the consent calendar?
Yeah,
No.
no? Okay. And no public comment, online comment, sorry.
Correct.
Okay. Then is there a motion to approve consent calendar as is?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to take the consent calendar as is.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, that's Melendez and Herrera. All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
motion carries. Okay, so now I go to F1, correct?
You go to H.
Oh, so sorry, go right there.
Mhm.
And then I'm reading that one. This section is intended to provide members of the public with opportunity to comment on any subject that does not appear on this agenda for action. This section is limited to 30 minutes. Each speaker will be afforded 3 minutes to address the commission. Each speaker will be permitted to speak only once. Written requests, if any, will be considered first under this section. Okay,
Yes, we have a public comment.
yes,
Ron Morocco.
okay, thank you. Wow, I don't have that problem.
Oh.
That makes it official.
Madam Acting Chair, I guess today, fellow commissioners, staff. My name is Ron Morocco. I'm from District 3. I'm excited to see you all up here. You have a very great commission and a very good mandate that's going to make this city very great. Since this is your first meeting, nothing's on the agenda, so everything's open for discussion. The way the protocol works is that I'm going to just suggest stuff to you. Hopefully the staff can answer the questions. If they don't want to, I would encourage you to write it down and ask them during the referrals. There was a number of projects that were started last year and well before that, and hopefully you will get a utility box status related to the council's 2021 passage of a couple of utility boxes that haven't been installed. Second, hopefully you will inquire as to what the status is of the red car fixture over at the transit center, and hopefully it'll get on your agenda at some point. Also, you have, and I don't know if you're going to get a report today because I don't see anything from staff reports, but you did put out for a consultant to help with the Artesia Boulevard project. And one of the things I'm hoping you do consider as an alternative is take the money that's being put for the consultant and actually see if you can come up with an Artesia Boulevard Arts District, that you can use that money that's going to the consultant to hire somebody that can start off and actually raise money to put all the art fixtures that you're looking at Artesia Boulevard. And the last thing I would like to is just more of an announcement. The Morale House is having a holiday party on Saturday, December 14th between 11 and 3 p.m. It's put on by the Redondo Beach Historical Society. I encourage you all, if you haven't yet, Dominguez Park, the museum, the Morale House is actually a very prominent place where you can actually see the history of the city and come out there. There is a gift. I remember if it's UCLA Pediatrics or something like that.
Harbor UCLA.
Harbor
Oh, sorry.
UCLA. So there's no admission. There are going to be carolers. We have Victorian carolers over there. And I'm sure that Christina will probably mention something at some point later today. But you're all invited to attend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
There are no other public comments,
No other.
non-agenda public comments.
Okay. Now, do I go to?
You go to item J, items for
Okay.
discussion
You
prior to
guys,
action.
so sorry. Okay, item J. Okay, so items for discussion prior to action. Okay, J1, organizational meeting of the Cultural Arts Commission, election of officers.
All right. Manager Margolis will take the lead on this one.
So the blue folder item for this was an email from Commissioner Tanner requesting that that the elections not be held today, that they be held at the next meeting. And you had an opportunity to read the email, so you know his reasons for requesting that. The municipal code says that commissions should elect their officers at the earliest possible meeting after October, once the new season starts. So that will be for you to decide whether you want to continue having the elections today or if you want to table them until the next meeting. So why don't you make that decision first, and then we can discuss, and then if you decide to have the elections, we can talk about how they will progress. So if you want to table to the next meeting, then somebody would need to make a motion to table, and that would have to be seconded, and then you'd have to vote on it. So
I make a motion to not table it and.
no, you don't need to do that.
Okay.
We will have the election unless somebody makes a motion to table, it's seconded, and a majority of you vote in favor of it.
May I ask a question? A couple questions. One, did Commissioner Tanner have a position? 2, how many positions are there? And 3, do we know if he was hoping to have a position?
So he was not an officer during the last term. I said to him when I received the email that he could nominate himself by email, and he could include, his reasons for wanting to serve, and he could nominate himself for, any number of offices, but he declined to do that.
How many officers are there?
There are 3.
Three.
There's the chair, the vice chair, and the secretary.
Samuel?
So
Go ahead.
if you guys are okay with moving forward?
Can I make a motion?
No.
There's no
Oh, sorry.
motion needed, but just wanted to just check if there was any discussion that anybody wanted to have, if there were any
Yeah.
further questions. If not, we can move ahead and start.
I make a motion to table it until the next meeting,
Okay.
just given an opportunity for the other people that are absent.
There's only one more absent.
Just one more.
I mean, yeah. So just so they know that, just so you all know, we have enough to make a vote for doing it. So also, can I say something?
Sure.
I just also don't want to, in my opinion, I don't want to take more time out for us when we can be using that time for things that we're here for to do. So sometimes that happens where we're not available to make our meetings, but fellow commissioners push forward and do what they need to do. So I just want to stress that out also. So
That's something I feel too. We're all here tonight and we got business to do and we can do it, so.
Okay. All right, there was a motion. Is there a second to table it? Okay, then we can go ahead and move on with the election of officers. Gary, will you walk them through how to do that?
Okay, so the first thing you want to do is make nominations. And of course, any of you could nominate Commissioner Tanner. He doesn't have to be here to be nominated. And you can nominate yourself or somebody else for as many offices as you want. I will keep track of that. And then after you close the nominations, everybody can have an opportunity to say why they're interested in having those positions. When that's finished, then the chair will start entertaining motions. Do you want to just do the nominations part first, and then when we get to the next part, I'll explain that process?
Could you please help me understand, like, what's the responsibility of each role? Briefly?
Elizabeth, can you help with that?
Sure.
I can make it
So the
up.
chair is the person primarily in charge of leading the meetings, making sure that decorum is kept and that conversation is had, the public speaks when able to. The vice chair acts as a backup, really. So if the chair can't make it, they take on the responsibility of leading the meeting, making sure decorum is kept during the meeting, conversations had, public is involved. And then the secretary is, from what I understand of that role, just able to take notes during the meeting, make sure as staff we don't miss anything. You get an extra pair of eyes on the minutes when they come back to you, catch anything as it comes to you, things of that nature. So really the chair has the bulk of the duties when it comes to these positions. They usually meet with the liaisons ahead of time, are aware of what the agenda looks like in the coming meeting, and is just prepared to be present for most of the meetings, if not all the meetings, for the coming year.
And how long do they hold this position?
For a year.
For a year?
Mhm.
Thank you.
So with that, are there any nominations?
I nominate Christian Kelly as a chairperson.
Noted.
Just so everybody knows, she was doing it before we redid the commission makeup.
Do you accept that nomination?
I would love to accept that nomination.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for vice chair or for secretary or for chair?
I'll nominate myself. I'll happily nominate myself for vice chair.
Okay. Any additional nominations?
Anybody?
This could be easy.
Can I second? Or
No,
can I-
no need to second.
need to-
But
okay,
you
I just-
can also nominate Commissioner O'Brien Herrera.
Yes.
Okay. So there are two nominations. Do you accept that nomination?
I do, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I'll nominate Michelle as well. So,
Which Michelle?
oh, we got a few, couple, Herrera.
This one has thrown me for a loop.
Excellent. All right, we still have the secretary position available?
And it's not.
It's not
Well, and
necessary,
oh.
but recommended. It's an extra pair of eyes on things that as staff we might miss or the minutes secretary may miss.
I nominate Orban.
Okay. Commissioner Tanner gets a nomination.
Does anybody else have interest in that? Anybody else have interest in that?
Okay. Hearing no other nominations, Gary, will you lead the voting?
So then the chair can close the nominations. Just say, you're closing the
I'm
nominations.
closing the nominations.
And then you can invite any of the nominees to say anything if they want to. I mean, a lot of you don't know each other, and so at some point, we really all need to introduce ourselves to each other, but I think at least the three of you probably should, since you're going to be the leaders of this commission, make some kind of a statement. Might be nice at this point, right?
Sure.
Yes.
So, Christina Christian Kelly, you want to kick it off?
You want me just to say a little bit about myself?
Well,
Or?
and why you would make a good chairperson.
Yeah, I've just loved Redondo. I've been here for over 20 years. I am fully engaged in the community, volunteering. I work at a college. I work in the arts. I have been involved with past groups, as I'm sure you're familiar with Friends of the Arts and Redondo Beach Art Group. I feel like it's so imperative for your voice to count. If you complain about things and you don't act upon it, then it really doesn't answer any problems that you have. So especially in our community, I think we have such a wonderful opportunity to bring so much art more. We have a lot, but even more so to our community. So yeah, I feel we're really lucky in Redondo, and I think it's just getting better and better. So yeah.
And then you've been a commissioner for how many years? And you've served as a
2.
chairperson, right?
Yeah. Yes, I have for the past year as a vice chair also.
But you've had to take on that role of chairperson
Yeah, then I had it,
several
yes,
times. Yeah.
yes.
So you have that experience.
Yes, I have the experience. I'll try to hold it well. But I'm very grateful also because I feel it is a big responsibility for us to have for our community because we got here somehow with a little bit of knowledge in the arts, and I think it's people putting the trust in us, and I think it's something to be proud about and take seriously. So that being said, I'll do my best.
Thank you. So Commissioner O'Brien Herrera?
Hi, yes, I'm Michelle O'Brien Herrera. I have lived in the city of Redondo Beach. Gosh, I feel like it's almost 20 years also. And I have spent the bulk of that time really spending with our youth and bringing art to them. A lot of times with the hands-on art program and bringing art to the classrooms. And I just so strongly believe that art is one of those ways that we can make our community happier and more beautiful and really bring people together. So I look forward to learning a lot more about this commission as I'm just starting my journey, and hopefully, learning to be the vice so I can just keep seeing how things go and make a really nice impact on our community for our people.
Great, thank you. Right,
Okay,
Commissioner
so-
Tanner isn't here.
Okay. And then any of you who know anyone else, can also make comments if you want, or not, just. Okay, so then the next thing would be for somebody to make, since we only have one nominee in each of the offices, someone could make a motion that the commission elects Commissioner Christian Kelly as the chairperson, Commissioner O'Brien Herrera as the vice chairperson, and Commissioner Tanner as the secretary. Someone can just make that motion.
One.
I'll make the motion for. I'd like to make the motion for Christian Kelly to be the chairperson, Michelle Herrera to be the vice chair, and Orban to be the secretary.
Okay. Was there a
I'll
second?
second.
Okay.
So all in favor, do I say that part? All in favor?
And I mean, I guess you can ask for public comment.
Yes, and
but
public, please, any public comment?
There's none online.
Okay.
I think you guys are going to have a great time with Christina as your chair. Since you changed the name, do they need a new set of bylaws for this commission? Because the previous one, I don't think had a secretary in it.
The secretary position actually is required in the municipal code now.
And by the way, thank you for stepping up. It's actually a very rewarding position, so you'll enjoy it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, then you can, there's no more public comment.
Okay.
So you can call for the vote.
Okay.
Do you want to call for the vote?
Yeah, I call for a vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
to our new
Yay,
officers.
everybody.
The first officers of the Cultural Arts Commission.
Wow. It's pretty cool. Okay, now we're going to go to J2, correct? J2, discussion and possible action regarding the selection of regular meeting date for the Cultural Arts Commission.
The available dates are the first Monday of the month, the first Wednesday of the month, the third Wednesday of the month, and the fourth Wednesday of the month. The former Public Art Commission met the fourth Wednesday of the month. So you have those three choices, and then you also need to decide on a starting time. The Public Art Commission started at 7, but I noted that the Public Amenities Commission has voted to start their meetings at 6:30. So you do have an option to pick both your regular date and your regular start time.
Do you have a question?
No, I would pick the first Monday of the month.
I would agree with that.
Okay, make a motion then.
Oh, I make a motion to have our meetings the first Monday of the month, and I'm open to 6:30 or 7.
And you're what?
I'm open to if we have a start time of 6:30 or 7 o'clock,
I mean,
Or-
oh, sorry.
or do I, did
Well,
I?
then, then why don't we just do the day first, and then we'll do the time
Okay,
next?
thank you.
So there's a motion on the floor for the first Monday of the month. Is there a second for that?
A second.
Any discussion?
How does everybody feel?
I'm just looking to see if there's any holidays on those Mondays.
Right. I just want to stress out that that's very close to where we're at now, even though it won't be next month, it'll be in January. I feel like we need some time to maybe go over some things too. Just throwing that out. It'd be nice to have time to connect, I think, with new commissioners. You know what I mean?
It's a good point, because if
little
we do
bit.
it the first Monday, the next meeting will be December 2nd.
Yeah, so.
No, they meet in January, though.
Yeah,
They
well,
meet
every other
every
month.
other
Oh,
Well,
month.
in
yeah.
January, but still, I just feel like over the holidays, because before you know it, that really bumps into it. I feel like when we had it, just saying, I'm up for anything, but it was always like towards the end, I feel like that gave you a little bit of time to, if you were on a subcommittee or you needed to do research or at least it gave me, I know, more time to interact and do what I needed to do to come in and to be prepared. So, versus the beginning of the month. So,
So your only preference is you're okay with the Monday?
I'm okay what we had before, like it was always the last Wednesday of the month. The fourth Wednesday, sorry.
fourth
It was the
Wednesday.
fourth Wednesday of the month.
So you'd be cool with it the fourth Monday?
That's not available.
Okay, so our choices are, can you repeat them again?
First Monday,
Okay.
first Wednesday, third Wednesday, fourth Wednesday.
I got you.
Because the first Monday was when the library commission used to meet. Well, we don't need to go over all that.
Right, all right. I kind of agree with her on just Mondays overall in general, people coming off the weekend is kind of rough on anyone. And we already got people that can't, for whatever reasons, making the midweeks. So Mondays are tough for everybody, I think. For me, it doesn't matter. So if anybody's got the preference for Monday, I'm not opposed to it. But I do feel like the later in the month sometimes does help. That's my.
Then can I,
You're basically directing your questions to the chair. I'll answer them if she's unable to, but
thank you. And how about the fourth Wednesday of the month?
That's what I'm saying. Though, yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm okay if everybody else is okay.
yes. So Commissioner Gold, if you're okay with the fourth Wednesday, you can withdraw your motion.
I withdraw my motion.
And Commissioner Lawrence would need to also withdraw her second. Unless you're not in favor of that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I guess I just have, I'll figure it out. So I'll withdraw.
okay. So then you can make a new motion.
Okay, so we make a motion to have the Cultural Arts Commission meeting on the fourth Wednesday of every month. And what about the time? Should we also discuss that time also? Like, is the
Well,
time?
we were going to do two separate motions.
Okay,
but
I
if
gotcha.
you
Never
wanna
mind.
it-
Can I just do it together? I mean, it
You can
seems.
try.
You can do it together.
Yeah,
if you-
can we figure out that time also with everybody? So it usually is held at 7. It's best to come in at least a quarter till before the meeting as well. So, but would you prefer a different time? Like then on, like we had it at 7, but sometimes, that might work better for people's work schedules, but anyone have any?
I think I would prefer the 6:30 if we could do a little earlier.
I definitely don't prefer the 6:30. I definitely prefer the 7.
7, okay, I understand.
Yeah, just like my work schedule, getting here on time.
I get it.
I got the
I get
same
it.
issue with the 6.
No worries whatsoever. I say we stick with the 7, absolutely.
Okay, so then your motion is to have your regular meetings on the fourth Wednesday of every other month, like the Public Art Commission met.
Yes,
Starting at 7 o'clock.
at 7 o'clock. All in, should I do all in favor?
We need a second.
So,
I second.
second, so sorry.
Who? Oh, okay.
Herrera,
No, I'll second that.
great. Okay, all in favor? Oh,
Any public comments?
Any public comments? All right. Any public comments online?
No?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
All righty, now,
Oh, and I'm not doing my job here.
that was my,
We start in January then?
we start in January.
Okay, just
Yep.
confirming
Yeah, it
that.
gives you,
What will
gives
the
you a
date
little
for
bit of
that? What's the fourth Wednesday in January?
the
The
4th.
22nd.
The 22nd? Okay.
Yep, 22nd. Okay. I lost track of where I'm
We're moving on to J3.
J3, right? And I'm trying to find my page for that, so I apologize, I got lost in the mix.
So we're going to go into the presentation of,
Yes.
but before we do that, would you be interested in having the other commissioners talk a little bit about themselves?
I would
Since-
love that. I think we definitely should. You want to start and move on down?
No, Is this not the right time to do that?
No? Wait until J.
Well, it's a little odd to do that now. It was probably more appropriate under the very first item. 'cause
Oh,
we
maybe they
just
can do
finished.
it then in referrals, the referral section?
Yeah,
or-
that might be a
Referrals,
more
okay.
appropriate place to
Okay.
do it, yes.
Sorry.
Okay, so now we're going to go on to J3, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Presentation and discussion regarding municipal public art programs in general, and specifically the City of Redondo Beach's John Parsons Public Art Fund ordinance.
Okay. I think
You are good to go to bring it up?
let's try this again. Yes, city manager.
There you go.
Okay.
So this is where you can hit present.
All right, well, congratulations, commissioners, and welcome to your first meeting.
my God,
Looking
PC.
forward to working with all of you. The first slide here, so this is a presentation, as the new chairperson mentioned, on the John Parsons Public Art Fund in particular, but it's also an opportunity for us to talk in more general terms about public art today, and then in the future, we can discuss other topics if that's what you would like to do. I started with this slide because for those commissioners who are continuing, time has been an issue that they've found challenging and frustrating. Some of them have been, well, the ones that obviously just left, were on the commission for 8 years, and they worked on a lot of projects, and they've been frustrated by the amount of time that it took and is taking to get things done. So I just wanted to remind everybody that, great things do take time, and we appreciate your patience, and we appreciate your continued, efforts to help staff and everyone else, the artists, work through the challenges that, all of us are facing together. So the topic, is understanding percent for art, and percent for art refers to how the money that the city spends on public art comes into the city. So what is percent for art? So it's a city ordinance. So there's a law that the city has adopted that states that a fee, usually a percentage of the project cost, will be placed on large-scale development projects in order to fund and install public artworks. So taxes, are not used to pay for public art. The general fund is not used to pay for public art. It comes from fees that developers pay for the most part. Private developers may choose to either oversee their own site-specific public art projects, or they can pay the fee associated with their project. Well, why would a developer want to do that? So there's several reasons. First of all, advertising. Public art has the ability to attract immense media attention, resulting in raising brand awareness, attracting new audiences, and promoting sales. Reputation. Great public art projects provide developers with a reputation for being innovative in the development of public spaces. And public relations. Great public art projects allow developers to refresh their brand, create a landmark, and bring communities together. And feel free to ask questions whenever you like.
I have a question.
Sure.
So as far as the advertising piece goes, do we or does the city have the right to see what it is that they'd like to put up and to veto that?
Yes.
And do we also have the ability to discuss those things?
Yes, and we'll
Okay.
get to that.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So then the cities, when the money comes into the city, the percent for art, it goes into the fund, a public art fund. And that fund's name in the city of Redondo Beach is the John Parsons Public Art Fund. And we'll talk about that in a minute too. No, we're going to talk about it now. So John Parsons, the fostering of public art in the city of Redondo Beach and the establishment of a public art program was due in part to the hard work of the late John Parsons. He was a former planning commissioner, a harbor commissioner, and a council member who dedicated himself to this purpose. And look how quickly it happened. So in August of 2013, City Council directed that an ordinance be created that would establish a funding mechanism for public art. Then in October of 2014, the Planning Commission held a public hearing. In November of 2014, the first reading of the new ordinance. And then in December of 2014, the second reading and adoption of the new ordinance. The fund, the John Parsons Public Art Fund, is maintained, managed, and reviewed by the city treasurer. Funds may be used solely to further the goals of the city's public art program. So by law, those funds can only be used to further the goals of the public art program. And then the city is required to maintain a 5% set aside of that fund for the maintenance, repair, and potential removal or relocation of all current and future public art in the city. So how is public art defined in the ordinance? And I think there was a copy of the actual ordinance was attached to your report. So this is a summary of it. It's more detailed, but basically it has to be an original work. It has to be produced by an artist, and the definition of an artist is in the ordinance as a person who has a reputation among peers as a person of artistic excellence through a record of exhibitions, public commissions, sale of works, or educational attainment as judged by the reviewing body with final design review authority for the development project. It has to be of a permanent nature. So we talked, for example, about temporary exhibits as part of the Artesia project. Well, temporary exhibits wouldn't be eligible for funding with the Public Art Fund. If we wanted to do that, we'd have to find another source of funds for temporary exhibits. They can be in any media, okay? So, you know all the media. Permanently affixed to the building or its grounds. It may include integrated art, so that means architectural features of the building, such as handrails, windows, floors, other functional features, if they are designed by an artist. And then they may also include pieces which may be placed in the public buildings, such as City Hall, the libraries, and other publicly accessible facilities. So here's an example of integrated public art. In this case, the windows. So these windows are in a recreation center in Aurora, Colorado, but they were designed by an artist. Public art does not include anything not created by an artist, anything that's mass-produced, signs, including interpretive programs, reproductions by mechanical or other means of original works of art, except in the case of film, video, photography, printmaking, or other media arts, services or utilities necessary to operate or maintain the artwork over time, existing works of art offered for sale or donation to the city, which do not have an established and recognized significance in the field of public art, works of art which are not visible to the public, works of art which cannot be reasonably maintained within the resources allocated by the city, and logos or corporate identity. And what does public art do for a city? It helps create a more livable and visually stimulating city, enlivens the public areas of buildings and their grounds, creating spaces that are welcoming and encourage socialization, promotes a diverse and culturally rich environment, fosters economic development by revitalizing urban areas, improving the overall business environment, and promoting cultural tourism. So here's sort of a picture of the John Parsons Public Art Fund expenditures since its beginning in 2017 till now. So you can see that about $260,000 have been spent on artists. So the first piece that the commission commissioned with the Public Art Fund was, oh, I have the name wrong, I'm sorry about that. Waves was Gordon Huether, so I made a mistake there. Volkan Alkanoglu is the artist who's doing the Gateway Parquet piece, so that's my bad. So that was $200,000. Andy Jenkins, Skate Waves, has been paid a portion of what he's going to get for the work that he's doing now at the skate park. Multiple artists for their utility box designs. And then 2 local artists, Colette and Lynette, did the police wall and art objects. And then we've paid 3 artists for proposals for various projects. About $37,000 has gone to fabricators, and that's solely for the wraps on the utility boxes. Maintenance, as far as the only maintenance we've done with the Public Art Fund so far are on the art benches. That was about $7,000. And then our call for artists, which is basically advertising, is about $2,000. So that's where we are with that fund. So here's the name of the artist. I'm sorry, I got that wrong on the previous slide. So this is on the Performing Arts Center, and it was the first Percent for Art project commissioned by the City of Redondo through the Public Art Commission. This was also commissioned with the John Parson Public Art Funds, and it's the mosaic on the police wall at City Hall by Debbie Collette and Patty Lynette. I couldn't remember their first names before. And then here are 3 of the 26 completed utility boxes. And then projects that are in the pipeline. We have Gatewave, so that was the one that I was talking about by Vulcan Alkanoglu, and that will be $275,000. Sea Chatter is the one that you've approved for the Public Works walls at North Catalina and North Gertruda, and he will be working on those. His agreement is supposed to go to City Council next week, or December 3rd, and he will start his painting in July of next year, July of 2025. It's also going to require some traffic control because Catalina is a narrow street and busy street, and he has to set up his ladders and lifts and stuff. So that's going to be an expense that we have to pay for as well. Skate Waves is the one that is currently being painted, installed at the skate park. City Council has appropriated $100,000 for some type of art project on the Esplanade. That we haven't started working on yet. Well, we've talked about it a bit, but we haven't put out a call for artists with a specific goal in mind for that one. The Transit Center, $75,000 for that. And then the Artesia project, we will have interviews for 3 finalists have been identified, and we're going to be interviewing them this week.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
So all these projects that are listed up here have all kind of been approved, and we're just waiting for them to come to fruition?
Well, no. So
Well, not
by
not the-
approved, appropriated means City Council has approved the money, okay? So the first Gatewave, Sea Chatter, and Skate Waves, artists have been selected and designs have been approved, and so they're way in the pipeline. For the Esplanade, the Transit Center, and Artesia, we haven't put out a call for artists yet.
Okay, so just as a question, so would it be in our best interest as a commission, as a board here, to try and get these moved farther along as opposed to trying to find new projects?
Absolutely. Yes,
Thank you.
yes, thank you. So here's a picture of the Skate Waves in progress. So that's the artist on the lift on the left there. On the lift on the left.
Uh-huh.
Have any of you been down there to see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks
It's a
great.
lot bigger than you think it's going to be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the artwork that's been approved for the 2 walls that meet at Catalina and Gertruda. And we're all very excited about this one as well.
That's going to be gorgeous.
And then this one is amazing. And so what we're waiting on right now is the results from underground x-rays, or x-rays that will show, all of the utilities that are under the ground, so we can be 100% sure of an area in that parquet where the artwork can be installed where it will not interfere with any of the utilities being accessed. Is that fair to say? Okay. Okay, so where does the money come from? Talked about it a little bit, but let's go over it again. So it's basically 3 pots. Pot number 1 is 1% of the cost of commercial residential projects. Now this is if the developers aren't going to do the art themselves, then they're going to pay this 1%. So residential projects include new developments of 3 units or more with a building value greater than $250,000. So if a project falls into those, if it meets those 3 criteria, then the developer has to contribute 1% of the building valuation to the John Parsons Public Art Fund, or they can install their own art, and it'll go through a process that you will be involved with, and that's called in lieu of contribution. And here's an example of an in lieu of contribution residential project. So this is on the corner of Aviation and Artesia. You've all seen this?
Mhm.
The,
Turned out great.
the aviation townhomes. So
Can I go
this,
back for a second?
Yeah.
So something like that, that's a big, beautiful piece of art that we all do see all the time. Who takes care of the maintenance on that? Is that their responsibility as well?
yes, and there's a covenant that's written into their agreement that they have to agree to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question. Pot number 2 is 1% of the cost of commercial non-residential projects. So basically the same thing, new non-residential developments with a building valuation greater than $250,000, 1% of the building valuation into the fund, or the in lieu of contribution. And it has to be, they have to demonstrate that the value is equivalent to that 1%. So here's one example of a non-residential project. This is the giant surfboard outside of the Hilton Garden Inn on Marine Avenue. Have you all seen it? It's kind of hidden, but
Yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
And then here's one that the commission has approved. It went through the process, but it hasn't been, the projects, I don't know if they've started building this yet or not, but I know certainly the artwork hasn't been installed yet. And so the artist is basing it on, it's surfboards that are also supposed to relate to the poppy, which is the state flower. So the in lieu of process, and this is what you were asking about, Commissioner O'Brien Herrera. The developer submits a narrative proposal and artistic rendering of the proposed public art, a review in a public forum by official bodies of the city of Redondo Beach. It happens, including but not limited to the Public Art Commission, the Harbor Commission, and the Planning Commission. The proposal shall be considered as an element of the design review permit process as conducted by the Planning Department, and then the proposal shall be reviewed by City Council. So it has to go through a lot of reviews and steps. But the commission is definitely involved. And then the third pot is the 1% of the cost of city capital improvement projects. So these are projects that the city of Redondo Beach, is engaged in. And they're supposed to include an element of public art at a cost equivalent to 1% of the cost of the project. Eligible projects means any improvement to public property which the city manager has approved. So for example, it could be construction of public facilities, such as libraries, a civic center, police stations, fire stations, parks, recreation facilities, or transportation projects. And the ordinance states, and I think this is really great that they got this in there back in 2014 or whenever it was, that the city shall engage an artist for the eligible capital improvement project at the onset of the development process. Because what we've learned in the fields, over the years is that the earlier you get an artist's eyes, on the project, the more likely that something like art integration is going to happen, where the artist can say, oh, let me design the stairs, let me design the windows, let me design the walls, let me design lighting fixtures, right? And when those kinds of things happen, they have to happen very early. CIPs that are ineligible are underground public work projects, street or sidewalk repair, tree planting, drainage and sewer projects, roof repairs, utility facilities, emergency operation facilities, and any improvement for which the source of funding or any applicable law or regulation prohibits or restricts the use of funds for public art. What's interesting, though, is most projects that receive federal funding require or strongly encourage public art components, so that's good. And so then some research that I thought, we could talk about today and see how you all feel about it. First of all, the key principles of public art, community, public engagement. Because we are, a city, it is very important that we engage as many people as possible in the process. For a variety of reasons, and maybe we don't have to discuss those today, but at some point, it would be good, to have that conversation. I think that especially, I've talked about with some of you about the idea that, engaging people early, especially like in the community panels we were talking about, is an opportunity to train them to be future commissioners. Because, I think we would like to have a situation where the folks who are sitting up here have all had the opportunity to actually serve on a panel that actually reviewed a public art project and, submissions from artists. The process is equally as important as the outcome. Oh, and then underneath each of these items, I have the resources that are listed in your report if you're interested in reading more. And then plan and care for the maintenance of public art, hire a professional to manage public art projects, and controversies are opportunities. So, everyone's not going to love every piece of public art that you select, but in that discussion, there's growth that can happen and there's, opportunities that can come out of that. So one of the process models that I put in this presentation, emphasizes the importance of community stakeholders. So in this model, you see that community and stakeholders are involved at every stage in the process. And then the reason I like this model is because it shows that number 4, the final design document production, it really comes after a contract with the artist is approved. Because one of the things that as a commission you want to care about is that we don't ask artists to work for free. So they submit their proposals. So in the first stage where we do a request for qualifications, they're submitting work that they've already done, okay? You're reviewing it, you're saying, hey, I like this work. And then you pick some that you're going to invite to submit site-specific proposals. So that's original work specifically for the project we're doing in Redondo Beach. That we pay them for, usually 1 to 5% of the total cost of the budget. But as you know, for those of you who've gone through the process, there's tweaking that happens. So they come in and say, well, the sky should be brighter. We don't want the animals to be not representative of proportional in size. Those kinds of things like that happened with the public works. When they start doing those refinements, they want to be under contract, okay, to do that kind of additional work. And especially for something like the parquet, Gateway Parquet, where he has to do technical drawings and all kinds of other, work for, to go to the planning commission and to go through our planning department that shows their technical drawings. So that takes a lot of time and specialized skill to do. And if you're going to, once you decide that that's the artist you want to go with, then you put them under contract, and any other work that needs to be done, they're now getting paid for. And then since we're going to be working on the Artesia project, hopefully very soon, I just wanted to use this slide to point out 3 of the, key tenets of creative placemaking, which is what that project is all about. And that is, place, creating a place, community engagement, bringing people together, so that Artesia Boulevard becomes a more active, socially engaging place. And then the idea that this kind of project is going to create economic development, which will then bring more creative development. So it's a cycle. So that's the presentation for today. Thank you for paying attention. And do you have any questions? And what other, I'm really interested in hearing, for those of you that had an opportunity to read any of the articles or anything else that was, in the report, what you thought and what kind of, if you're interested in having presentations like this in the future, and on what topics. So thank you.
I guess I have a question. What other topics? I don't necessarily know if it's a topic, but how do we advocate more and get more community involvement or engaged, like to have them be more engaged in being part of the community, and maybe not necessarily being part of the process, but advocating for more art in our community?
I do a lot of that myself. I'm glad I showed you. I try to do a lot of that myself. Like, we got business cards. Like, I hand out my commissioner card to damn near everybody I meet. They bring kids in here. Like, my deal is, it'd be nice to have that whole crowd full. That's kind of up to us sometimes. So, like, just tell your family, friends, the groups that you're in, the hobbies, the groups that you are. I put out a thing tonight on my Instagram telling all my friends, everybody I know, to tune in on YouTube. There's a link, those kind of things. Those are easy, quick phone things. You can just tell your friends and everything to get them more involved, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, it's kind of up to us to maintain a connection to the community. Like, there's no one, right? Like, that's up to us.
They're invisible.
Yeah, no, I agree, but those are the things we have to kind of come up with. Like, those are the tricks and we have to come up with to get people, no different than a entertainer, and get butts and seats anywhere. But it's a little easier, I think, because we got links and texts and phones. We could just, so I've been trying to do that.
Well, thank you.
So I think it's a great question to ask.
Thank you.
I enjoyed this. Great presentation. Thank you. I thought it was very informative. And I think it really brought up, at least for me, a lot of ideas. One of the things that I would love to see a presentation on, if this is something that we could do, is I would like to know what are some of the major art districts in our country where they have, like, if we're thinking about the Artesia Boulevard and making that an art district, what other places have something like that? What did they do? How do they do it? And how do they get the community involved in that? And maybe we could start to look and talk about what's been successful other places and bring that back here. I think that might be a helpful presentation for us. And that might also go to your point, Michelle, about how do we get people involved and engaged?
Yeah,
If we just look at some best practices from around the country.
yeah, I was just like echoing you and just saying like what elements are in those communities and how to echo that, right? Like, what is in an art district and how can we make that happen there, right? Because I think that would thrive over there.
I agree. I think that an arts district, we've all been to them around the country, and it's a place that you want to be. It's a destination. It's a walkable spot. It's a spot where you want to walk into every single business. You know your neighbors there. I think that if we could get even just a piece of those and start talking about that, that's really what we're all looking to do, isn't it?
And it's important for us as a commission to engage in that district. So, we're all, should feel free to approach businesses and get, their reaction to their input about what art they'd like to see in around, because that's going to impact the businesses as well, right? It can only be better for them, but it'd be nice to get ideas. I think it's important for us to get a little bit of information.
No, yeah, and I think that when we get our consultant on board, that I hope one of the first orders of business will be for them to meet with you and to, have that discussion about, I mean, I can certainly, do that as well. In fact, in my last job, part of my responsibilities were managing an arts district. So it's something that's of great interest to me. But yeah, I mean, hopefully the consultant will be a big help there, both with the engagement question and with discussions about best practices for arts districts around the country.
Well, then I have a question, because and forgive me, I don't recall the gentleman's name who was here, but he, I'm sorry.
Morocco.
Ron Morocco.
Thank you. But he made a comment about instead of paying our consultant, perhaps using those funds for something else? Did it maybe, I don't know if I misunderstood.
Well, I mean, that was his suggestion. I would say that City Council has directed us to hire a consultant. So if we weren't going to use the funds for that purpose, we'd have to go back to City Council, right?
Correct.
Just to jump in here, I had the same idea you did, and the city council themselves have decided that they like the idea. So we've discussed this on this commission prior to you getting here, and it bounced back and
Back
forth
and
for a
forth.
long, we argued that one out pretty good, and I was on your side of things, and city council already heard it, and they kind of came up with the idea for the consultant, but.
That's fine, it was just a question.
Yeah, I don't think she was saying that that's what she favors.
No,
She
no,
was
no,
just asking.
I understand, yeah.
Can we like maybe have a brief on where we are with like that project or all like all the projects that we have going on? At some point, can we just have a brief of where they stand, like with the arts district,
Yes.
like that sort of idea, if we're going to do something like that? I think it's important to have like a liaison, but then it's how much, like what kind of work they're going to be doing. Like, are they going to be doing outreach to the businesses and talking to all of them? Because then definitely we should hire someone for that, right? Because that would be like a full-time job to go talk to all of them and figure out like where they stand. So would that be the consultant job? But I think like before we get into that complexity, a brief on where it stands at the moment would be really helpful.
For sure. Yeah, well, definitely. I normally have an update on all of the projects as part of the agenda, as part of the packet. I didn't get to it this time, but we will
Okay.
in the future.
Yeah.
And what was I going to say about?
Well, yeah.
I forgot my thought, but if I think of it, I'll come back to it.
Well, I also,
Oh, I know. I'm sorry. The if you send me an email, I can send you a copy of the RFQ that we use to recruit applicants for the consultant job. But they're also in the packets from you know how to find previous agendas on the city's website.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually.
But if it's easier for me just to send it to you, let me know, and it lists the tasks that we expect them to do.
Okay.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Sorry. Can
well,
download it.
I just want to make sure that this consultant person would actually help ease some of the things that are asked of you. And I don't know where the line is drawn, but like I think that part of our jobs are to help make your job easier and also in managing expectations and just communications and what's expected of us.
Well, I just got my Christmas present. Thank you. Yeah, no, I hope so too. And
Well, because you have this position, I know that we're not your boss, you're not our boss, but we do look to you for guidance. So how can we make everything run more smoothly or be easier? And I understand that when it comes to government, that's not always so easy, but I mean, I'm open to suggestions as to how we can make our process run more smoothly.
yeah, well, and I think that's one of the reasons why in that one slide, it says hire a professional. I mean, I have experience with public art, but it hasn't been the number one job over the course of my life. I mean, there are other parts of arts administration that I've spent more of my professional career in than public art. Having somebody who has spent their whole career only doing public art, they're obviously going to know more things than I do, and hopefully will be able to anticipate obstacles and have solutions right at the tip of their tongue. So that in and of itself, not having to search for answers every time there's a problem, but being able to pull from your own experience to know how to move forward could save a lot of time. And that's one of the things I'm hoping our consultant will be able to do.
And do we have a budget for this person?
Yeah, it's up to 10% of the total budget of the project. So right now, $450,000 has been allocated. City Council is hoping to have another $550,000 to make it $1 million project, but right now it's $450,000. So there's $45,000 for the consultant.
Thank you.
I have to say, I'm excited about a consultant. I think that when you want to do something, but when you want to do something really well, you find someone who does it better than you, right?
Yeah.
And this is someone, like you said, who's obviously done this. So I'm excited about that. And I'm hoping that we will have a chance to meet with them and
for sure.
have, because a really great idea is to get the community involved in that process. And so instead of just having a community panel of what would work and everyone's ideas, and it takes a really long time to filter through what's right, what's wrong, this person will be able to tell us that, but hopefully with some community feedback. And is that the idea that we're?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. It's really facilitating your ideas with his or her icing on them and everyone else in the community as well.
It might be a good idea to send all the new commissioners an RFQ, like all of that, so they get an idea of
Okay.
what we've just, that way they can have a
Okay.
good idea.
Thank you.
Anything, did you want to move on or anything else? I mean, I thought, great discussion, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that.
I just want
That's
to
great.
final about the Johns Parsons thing in particular. Our job is to spend that money. Like, I've been here for a little bit now. I don't want to the commissioners that were here sitting in your chairs before, a lot of them were here for a long time, and they didn't get to do a lot of the things that you're seeing in motion now. They actually helped push those things forward. And I made it my business to come in here and spend money. Redondo Beach is not a small, sleepy coastal town anymore. We're kind of growing up and putting on our big person pants. And a lot of the momentum that we got from the commissioners that are sitting in your chairs, we kind of owe it to them to keep it moving. And that's my big thing since I got on here is our job is to spend this money. We're supposed to put projects in front of the city council. They're the ones that get to say yay or nay on things. So I've tried to, since y'all are coming in, I don't know anybody's experience, but I wish somebody told me some of this stuff when I came in, is that the job is to get stuff in front of council. They're the ones that say yay or nay. We get to vote down here. We get to discuss things. We get to get cool projects. We get to look at things, talk to great people, meet people and everything. But the gig is to get things in front of the council so they can vote.
Juan, can you tell us how to do that better?
I'm still learning. My biggest thing that I learned was I don't know what districts everybody's in, who your council member is. It will behoove you to meet with your council member. And that's an easy thing to do when we have some of these events out in town. Introduce yourself. At some point, we'll all get cards, business cards again, and hand those cards out like hotcakes. You should run out. Like, you should run out of cards. Like, when you get your business card, like, you should tell everyone that you meet who you are, where you're from, and hand that business card out.
Do it.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with that more, and that relates to Commissioner Gold's question about, what does that engagement and bring more people on? I mean, obviously, the low-hanging fruit are the council district meetings and city council meetings. The council district meetings are really, that's a no-brainer, where, you show up at your council district's community meeting and say, I just want to let you know, the skate park mural is almost done, right? And the public works mural is the contract was approved, and then that's going to start in July. And we met with a consultant, and we're really excited. And then all the other people who are at that meeting are going to hear someone talk about public art, and they've never heard that before, right? I mean, how many times do you go to a council district meeting and the topic of public art comes up, right? If you guys could just do that, as a start, I mean, that would be magnificent. And I'm not saying to ask for more money or to complain about anything. It's to say thank you, and we're so excited to be on the commission and everything that's happening. Because there's a lot that is happening right now, and just to say, just want to bring you up to speed on everything that's going on.
Thank you.
I have one more question. Do we have a map or anything that shows where, no, has that been asked before?
That's work in progress.
Okay.
Let's-
Actually,
That's my number one thing to have. I want to have a map,
yeah,
art map.
and that's kind of a website thing too that I'm trying to work on. The website does have, for the utility boxes, you can click on the link and it'll take you to a map, but there isn't one map that shows everything. I mean, that is a project of mine. It's a must. That does have to happen, but we don't have it yet.
Is that like something that we do, or is that something that we get somebody to do?
Well,
Can I just mention something? What would help, I think, is, that's what I was mentioned at meetings before, is maybe everybody in their little district, if they could do a little walkabout and then point out where some of your artwork is, that may help Gary get it a little bit more to fruition of having a map, because that's the hard part about it, is collecting all of the.
so if you're talking about something that's interactive, like a GPS thing where you click on it and the map pops up, I mean, is that a specialty of yours, or it's? So the simplest thing to do would be what Christina is talking about, that if we had just a paper map, right, and somebody put little dots on it, and then I scanned it and I put it on the website,
We
right?
could start there.
Hmm?
I think we could start there, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Because then it's easy for anyone to transfer it to a digital form, right? But if we can start at the paper.
Yep.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Do we have a list of all art projects throughout the city?
That would be a cool
Well,
thing.
that's something I
That's
am
a work in
working on
progress,
I
too.
as well.
appreciate the energy already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have, I mean, I've got a good number of already, and I'll put that in the packet for the next meeting as well. We probably have, there's a lot of public art that's private, that either, businesses, restaurants, even people's homes. And then there was a lot of public art that was donated to the city before the John Parsons Public Art Fund. So various leadership Redondo classes donated a lot of different public art projects. Chamber of Commerce. There have been various community organizations that have donated works. So there's those different categories, works that the city has actually commissioned, works that have been donated to the city, and then private works. When you put them all together, it's probably approaching 100. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy to work with anyone to get that started. If we did with the last commission, they each got a map of their own council district, and we were hoping that they would at least identify artwork. And I'm sure there's a lot of artwork out there that I don't know about, especially, the private artwork, because I don't get around much. So that would be great to have each of you, do that kind of scouting.
Yeah, I would love just to see a list, even if it's incomplete, just to kind of give us
Yeah,
an
okay.
idea of what's out there. Asterisks if it's public, private, whatever, just anything that counts as art in the city that we have a hand in. What a great way to advertise ourselves, and maybe that's something we can use to start that Art Walk Redondo kind of, ideas, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Do I receive and file then?
Yeah,
The director's report?
receive and file would be great.
Okay. Is there a motion to receive and file the director's report?
The
Oh, sorry.
presentation.
Presentation, sorry. Presentation.
I'll make a motion to receive the
Oh.
presentation.
All right, and a second?
Second.
A second, okay. Melendez and Oh my gosh, gold. Gotta get you guys all together. Okay, all in favor?
Public comment, just in case?
Oh, yeah, public comment. Was there any public comment?
No,
No public comment? All
Anyone
right.
on there?
Nobody's on there. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No, anybody opposed? No? All right, motion carries. All right, we'll go to K, member items and referrals to staff.
All right, well, Chair Christian Kelly, if you want to go down the row and see if anybody has any comments they would like to make, if they would like to introduce themselves.
All right.
Take that opportunity to do so now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to start with Commissioner Gold?
Yes,
Hi,
let's
I'm
start
Michelle
with.
Gold, and I have always had a love for arts. Ever since I was little, I'd spend many hours doing art, and my family deemed me the artist in the family, although please do not hold me to that, because my art today does not look like my art when I was a child. And I've been involved with hands-on art. I have done adventures in art. I have been part of Leadership Redondo. I'm very philanthropic. In a past life, I think I gave away millions of money, millions of dollars, I should say, sorry. And I just believe that art is a universal language.
Great, thank you. So Commissioner Lawrence?
So I'm Chelsea Lawrence, and I am an artist myself too. And my main job is working in the film industry in locations, it's called. So that's what I do as like my day job, but I'm also a photographer, videographer. I get commissioned art pieces, and I'm a drone pilot as well. I've been involved in the arts my entire life, and I really love Redondo Beach, and I thought that this would be a really great way to be a part of like beautifying the city.
Great. Commissioner Melendez, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I too grew up doing a lot of artwork as a kid. I went to the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale, then I went to USC Film School. I too was in the industry for a while. I'm also a drone pilot and lend myself to photography, video. I've done graphic design, some motion effects and stuff like that. I started out in the hands-on art program. I did that for a number of years, and then one of the commissioners invited me to get on this commission. I started, somebody's term ended or something. I got in a year prior, so I'm on my first official term. We've been doing this 2 years, me and Christian Kelly, and I am more than excited to have. I don't know what other way to say it, fresh people, like blood, right? Like it takes a lot here. I've made it my mission. Like I don't know, I'm not advising anything, but don't get connected to projects here. The best thing I could tell you is be passionate about getting stuff done, be less passionate about what ultimately gets put up. I've, in the last year being on here, I've learned that there's not going to be a piece, like we don't get to sign our names to any of these projects. The Gay Wave project that you see there, from what I understand, that thing's been kicked around for 15, 16 years now. When I saw it, I was like, I don't care, that has to get done. We have to spend money on that one. So these are projects, that project we've inherited from past commissions, and it landed on us. Like none of our names is going to be on it. So I have taken it, for me as a position here on the commission, is I would like to make the process after I leave easier for whoever sits here next. So that's kind of where I'm at. And when I say like we're here to spend money, artwork doesn't get put up on anything if we don't pay for it. When we have money, bless you, if we have money, we should be at zero. Like that's my goal, is to make sure that we spend that money efficiently and quickly, and make sure that we put up cool stuff in this city.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. I don't know if Vice Chair Brian Herrera, you want to add anything
Yes.
else from your earlier?
Well, I just want to say, so I keep thinking about how we changed our name to cultural arts, right? So I want to continually remind myself too, because I come as a lover of theater and song and dance and anything where we create and express and bring joy and feelings. And I think about how every time you drive down the street, or even just when we pulled in the parking lot today and we saw the mural, and it just made you smile, right? It just makes you happy to be where you are. So I am so excited to be a part of that and to hopefully bring a lot of joy or feelings of any kind, you know, to our community. And to Juan's point, I'm very excited to try and spend all of that money that we can in our city on some really great things.
Great, thank you. And then Commissioner, is it Pitzel or Pitezel?
Pitsley.
Pitsley, I got it completely
Pitsley.
wrong.
So, I have been involved with South Bay Hands-on Art for the last 20 years and am stepping down in that position. I'm just going to be the secretary now instead of, well, I'll teach as well once that schedule gets settled out. So now I get to bring another love into my life with public arts, right? For our works, not only bring it to our kids, our students on campuses around our area, but now into our city. So I'm very, very excited about learning even more about what we have in the pipeline that's going to be completed. So could you correct me, Mr. Margolis, if you could, our budget doesn't have much money in it right now, does it? Because Commissioner Tanner keeps talking about spending all this money,
Right.
but
Right,
can we
so
pull that budget back up again and remind us what we,
right. So at the end of the last fiscal year, there was like $1.1 million, something like that. And the council
Okay.
did allocate basically all of it. But new money has come in, you know, new developers are building new projects. So I think there's, I think at the last commission meeting, there was maybe $50,000 new that had come in. But one thing that you need to remember is that that 5% set aside for maintenance, that, you know, we can't spend all of the money. You know, we have to keep 5%, you know, set aside so that when there is art benches that need to be repaired or other public art that needs to be repaired, there needs to be some amount of money left in there. But to both of your point, city council has spent almost all the money, yeah.
right? So
But,
where's the other $500,000 come from?
well, they're hoping that it'll come from the fees that the developers of the, what do they call it, the social?
The South Bay Social District, the Galleria.
Galleria.
Okay, so we do have a little bit of time to
Right.
spend that money.
And
So
there are
not on the
projects, you know,
books yet.
the Esplanade, the Transit Center, and the, what was the third
That-
one? That
that's
haven't been,
where everybody needs to take a little bit of action, like Commissioner Gold was saying, to get those moving. This is what we've been doing the past commissioners, and then you as new commissioners, to let these projects really come alive and come to fruition, you know, so.
So I've also, along the way, have been reading past agendas, and what a wealth of information. So, and it's a lot to take in as well. If you, have you done any of it? Whew. So that's a lot, and I'm just excited. Excited to be part of this whole new sessions.
Yay.
If I may add something.
Yes.
So it is a very exciting time. We have fresh energy, new blood on this commission, but we also have the Youth Commission that just got launched again for the first time in many years. And it would be very interesting to have them start thinking about things like art and their involvement in public art and what they would like to see in their schools. So it's an opportunity for our department to tap into other areas that we're involved in and see if there is an opportunity for youth commissioners to come here and share some of their ideas with you, see what you might want to do in partnership with them, or how you want to partner with that particular body or demographic in our city. And we have been getting approached by certain groups and artists over the past year. Most recently, Redondo Beach Ballet has requested to be more involved in the city and city events. And since your purview
please.
just got expanded to cultural arts, you may want to see a presentation from them and see what ideas they may have in terms of having some more activity in public spaces and provide a different type of art to the community. So there's a lot of things happening right now. It's a good time to be in cultural arts, so I anticipate the coming year to be very exciting and very busy for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can I ask about the youth commission, and if we do meet up with them with this other group, is there an issue with the Brown Act that we would?
So for them, they can probably come here, they probably have their own subcommittee, which doesn't violate their Brown Act, and they can share their ideas and thoughts with you. That would be totally fine. There have also been instances, not in recent history, but where there's joint commission meetings. Those get a little complicated.
Okay.
So we may just want to have a few of those commissioners come here and present any ideas they may have with you, and that might make it easier for everyone.
That would be
And you
great.
can always attend their meetings as a member of the public if you're just
Right.
curious to hear what they're talking about.
Sure.
But I think with so many of you, with the experience that you have working with schools and young people already, that it makes a lot of sense. And when I was talking about, the areas of arts administration that I did have experience with, one of them, is arts education. So most of my career was spent working in arts education. I already talked to some of you about this, but specifically creating those collaborations between school districts and nonprofit arts organizations. So arts education is what I am most passionate about when it comes, to the arts. And so I would love to see you guys get interested in that and work with the Youth Commission.
Which we've had even the Redondo Beach high schoolers come in and ask about a possible,
Right, but remember, this will require a new funding source. So
Right.
this will be something that we'll need to plan for and then, be ready for the next budget season and go to city council and say, hey,
Correct.
look, we have this idea and,
right?
When is that budget season?
So we start preparing as staff in March.
Okay.
So you have some time to get your ideas together, get some thoughts together, and how it usually works is you all put a letter together to be considered by the council, and it goes in as part of their budget response reports, and then they go through it, review it, and see what ideas or programs they would like to support in the next budget cycle.
And can I ask a question? Maybe I should know this, but our funding is supposed to go towards permanent pieces. How does that apply to cultural arts, being that
So
Redondo Beach Ballet, they're not going to be dancing 24/7 for the next, 100 years for us?
So that's the part that we haven't had an opportunity to really discuss.
That's like performance art then.
Yeah, so it's not public art.
Yeah.
It would have to
The
be
Public
filmed.
Art Fund is,
Yeah.
we
It would have
only at the moment have
for, like,
funding
a
for public art,
collaboration.
as Gary walked us through it. We don't have alternative funding sources for cultural arts. So as things come up, if you feel very strongly about a certain program, we do have the mid-year budget coming up sooner. If you feel really, really strongly about, presenting a program to the council, you do have an opportunity come February to put together a letter and share your thoughts and ideas with them. If you want to wait a couple more months, get some more support, you can do so too and wait for the actual budget season and ask for funding for specific programmatic elements you would like to see funded in the next year.
And that would be the same case, because obviously if we're, partnering with the school districts, which would be really wonderful to get our kids involved in art throughout the city, they wouldn't qualify as artists per, our funding rules. So is that something we'd also have to go to council and get special funding for?
I would think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Let me just add one thing to that, though. But students working with professional artists is something that's totally fundable. So
Okay.
for example, as part of the Artesia project,
Right.
so you hire well, forget the consultant for now,
Yeah.
but you pick an artist, right, who's going to do a mosaic somewhere or a mural somewhere or a sculpture somewhere. They can work with any number of local artists who are not professionals, including students. So
Okay.
the public art program, your program, can provide opportunities for students to work with professional artists, no problem, right? It's just that the one getting paid with the public art fund money is going to be the professional artist.
I see.
But, I mean, it's very desirable in a public art program to have not only those kinds of partnerships, but also there are all kinds of studio artists who are professional studio artists who are interested in making the jump from studio to public art, but they have no idea, or maybe not no idea, but it's intimidating. They don't have a lot of ideas how to do it. Apprenticeships can also be part of your work, matching up professional artists, visual artists who are not currently public artists, but would like to be public artists. It's a completely different world. You know, studio artists basically work alone in their studios, you know, for their entire career, whereas public artists, as we've emphasized in the presentation, are all about engaging the community. A lot of studio artists would not want to be public artists for anything because they enjoy working by themselves. It takes a special artist to become a public artist who enjoys that kind of community engagement. And you can develop those kinds of apprenticeships. I've worked in other cities where we've done that. It's really exciting to see that happen.
Thank you.
Right. And also students having an opportunity to work with professional artists. That's a big resume builder, especially for the high
it's- yeah.
schoolers
Yeah,
heading off into university
Yep.
days coming up.
absolutely.
Okay,
All right.
if there's no further comment on that item, we can move on to item L, which is the
Yes,
adjournment
adjournment. And is there a motion to adjourn
to January
to
22nd.
January 22nd
At
at
7 o'clock.
7
Mhm.
PM?
I move to adjourn until January 22nd at 7 PM.
All right.
Is there a second?
Second?
I'll second that.
They want to stay.
They went, they want to stay. Okay, that's when our next meeting's going to be, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Nice first meeting.